Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're doing some restoration on this mongoose frame, and I'm going to do a full build on this. It's a 1979 motomag model, so it was one of those things I did back in the day. Used to race BMX, and got a few of these frames from the States when I was working as a ski instructor in Lake Tahoe, and we'd come back and forth from Australia to America, and of course my ski bag was full of BMX parts, so it used to make the customs people kind of scratch their head, because they'd do an inspection of the bags and look in and go, and they'd just see all these bike parts, and I'd say, oh, it's a snow bike, I do instructing with snow bikes, and they just kind of look at you. But I brought a whole lot of these frames back when they were really cheap. Now they're just worth a fortune. So but this one needs some work done to it. It's actually got where the chain's been rubbing, you can see here, it's gone and, just really put a big hole in it almost. So I'm going to TIG weld this back up again, and then obviously flap it back and get the radius back again. And this frame is going to be powder coated in the mongoose yellow that it came out in. So it's going to have to be it's been sandblasted already a while back, but I'm going to have to go back over it again. And then I'm just waiting for the powder to get here, and we can utilize my giant oven yet again. So that will be done in yellow. Now this bike actually ran the motomag rims, which I'm not sure if people, if they're not into BMX, they probably don't know. But back in the day, when really the only bike for kids to muck around on and try and emulate motocross and motorbikes was the Schwing Stingray, and of course the frames used to snap and fall apart, and the wheels used to buckle and carry on. And this engineer guy, Chip Hess, actually invented these, designed and invented these aluminium motomag wheels, and that's kind of where the whole BMX frame came from. He made the wheels first, and then he moved on to making frames, and obviously called it Mongoose, and it went from there. They fetch a pretty penny now, especially in Australia. They go, that you can get a fully restored one of these bikes will, probably set you $3 or $4 grand. So they're right up there now in terms of price. I've got a few. I've got a bit of a collection that I'll probably do a video on them later. But yeah, so what we're going to do today is just get this little repair cleaned up, weld this bit up, check out anything else that needs fixing on it. I don't think there's any cracks in it. They had really unusual, they had a heli arc welding method, and if you have a look at the welds, they're a really interesting shape weld, especially these ones here. That's the classic heli arc. You can see there it's got like a little sort of arrow shape to it, and obviously as they went across, it would create this special shape, and I think it would be pretty hard to replicate that. Even with a TIG welder, you wouldn't get that shape. So they punched out a ton of these frames, so you can always tell a fake mongoose frame, because these welds just don't look like that. They don't have that sort of pointy little sharp section to them. So that's one of those things. So anyway, let's get this cleaned up, and we will fill that up. Like I said, obviously, because we're powder coating in it, and this is, I think this probably has a nickel plating on it. We're just going to have to go over the top of it, and it's going to be solid yellow anyway, so that's not going to matter too much. All right, let's get into it. Righto, let's just have a look and see what we've done. Yeah, not too bad. I might have to go back over it once I just flap this back, because I reckon there might be a couple of low spots, but all in all, fairly successful. Didn't want to spend too much time, obviously, and create too much heat and start to get things warping and moving. So flap this back and see what sort of radius we get. Obviously, we've got to mimic the pipe shape here, so let's give that a crack and see how we go. We might just have to go back over it a couple more times. We'll see how we go. All right. Okay, so a little bit of filing, and also used just this little Dremel with the drum sander on it, just to give it a little bit of a going over. So one little tiny low spot just there, which we'll just go back over it with the welder, but the rest of it got the radius nice. And what I'll do now is just put a bit of yellow paint on it and then give it a file, and that'll tell me where the low spots are, so we can fill those in. Alright, so you can see there I've just added another little bead just across it, just to fill those low spots. Now we can file this back and we'll be ready for action, and we can give it a really nice linish up, the same look as this metal here, so that once the powder goes on it, we're not going to see any repair scratches or anything below it. So, you know, it's still a little bit of work to do to get it perfect, so keep going. Okay, so I just gave it a quick sand with some 240 and 600, and then just popped it back in the sandblasting cabinet. Just gave it a very, very light clean up, and as you can see, there's the repair. And yeah, wouldn't even know. Once the powder goes on that, you'll never know that that was even repaired. So that was a good successful little job. So that one's pretty much ready to go. I might even just fix up these little guys here. You can see there, they've got some marks there from the back axle, or the nut I should say. I might even just give that a little bit of a clean up as well. Then that thing's going to be ready to, I'm just waiting for the powder to arrive, and then yeah, we can get it done. We've got the frame all cleaned up, used a bit of denatured alcohol to get all the fingerprints and all that stuff off it. Now we're going to put it in the oven for 20 minutes just to burn off oils and stuff. It's had a couple of sandblasts, and yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. You can see I've just used an old seat pole just to ram it in, and that's where I'm going to put my ground to, so I don't have to have a ground clip on the frame anywhere. And the only thing I've got to be really careful of is the serial number underneath it. Now this, I'll just grab a torch to show you. Unfortunately, when I got this frame, it was damaged, and I've got a feeling probably in its life at some point it was stolen and someone's tried to hide the serial number. Now I'll just get under here a little bit easier. Now what you can see, I'm not sure if you can see this, but the number is, and I know what it is because I've had it really, really careful. It's CA8, and that means it's a 78 motomag, and then the actual numbers on it are, they're pretty faint, but I did write them down somewhere. But the big problem here is when you go and put powder coat on that, it's going to just wipe those numbers out and you won't be able to read them. So I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do, you can see that, you know, it's been damaged a little bit in that area. Before I put it in the oven, I will endeavour to, just using a little scribing tool, try and make out those numbers so I don't lose them, because I really don't want that to happen. How's the undercut just on that bit of weld right there? That's from the factory. Classic. Yeah, so that's normally a bit of a sore point with bike restoration guys, getting things powder coated. You know, the powder coaters don't understand that, you know, you've got to be able to read that serial number. It is important, especially, you know, with the cost of these bikes and, you know, if you're reselling them on or whatever. So a lot of powder coaters will just go hammer and tong over the whole thing and completely bury the serial number. I don't want that to happen. We've got blowflies in here again, which is this time of the year down under, hence why I have the fly spray ready. But okay, so that's how we're going to powder coat it at this position. Now I've got the powder here, actually came in the mail today, and that is the RAL 1018 yellow, which is the correct yellow for this frame. So 200 degrees cure at 10 minutes. So it's a pretty quick wetting out powder. Now I know I'm going to have problems with this because it's just my gun and the way that gun works. Trying to get powder inside here is going to be almost impossible, and I know I'm going to have issues with the Faraday effect, you know, where it doesn't want to stick to some areas. So what I am going to do is actually do this frame when it's still warm. You know, I suppose they call it hot flocking, I don't know. I just don't think I'm going to get a good finish, but I can try it. I might just see what happens and check it out dry, see what happens. If it works, great. But I've just got a feeling it's not going to stick in those really hard to get areas, you know, up underneath there as well. I reckon that's going to be pretty hard to get in there. Anyway, yeah, let's get this in the oven and let it bake for 20 minutes, and then we can pop it out and go from there. Unfortunately, I can't move the the bus out of the way because it's up on the hoist, and I'm still waiting for parts. So it's going to be a tight squeeze. I'm going to have to actually powder it right where it is. So hopefully I won't make too much mess, but I suppose I can just vacuum it up. All right, let's get to it. Okay, so we got it out of the oven and she's still pretty hot. Just going to wait for it to cool down just a little bit, and then we can start the coating process. So let's check it out. Didn't really get that Faraday cage effect issue, so I think we got inside the gussets, and that was the bit I was a bit worried about. But what I want to do now is try and get under that to that serial number and just make sure we can still read it. But I think it's a success. I'm liking what I'm seeing, and I think I've got enough coverage. Doesn't look too thick and it doesn't look too thin, so not really too worried about what's inside here, because that can grind that out with a Dremel if needs be. But nice, I'm happy with that. All right, let's get it in the oven. First off, we'll just check that serial number. Righto. All right, let's have a look in there. She's starting to wet out, flow out. Awesome. I tell you, I'm pretty stoked. This is my first BMX frame, so I reckon she's coming up a winner. We've got about 8-9 minutes to go, It's just getting back up to 200, so it's got to take its time to climb back up again. But all in all, it's looking pretty good in there. Righto, well, check it out, guys. I am absolutely stoked. You can see it's just got a really, really nice finish on it. Super shiny. Bloody awesome. Really, really stoked. Even that little repair that I did, can't even tell. And we got powder inside the gussets. That was the bit I was a bit worried about, if it was going to get in there or not. It has. So, yeah, really stoked. Let's have a look underneath. Yep, got in underneath there as well. We can still read the serial number, which is fantastic. So I just used a little brush to brush away the lettering so that you can still read it. That's awesome. I'm really stoked about that. So I was a bit worried. Apart from that, everything else is fantastic. Check that baby shine. Woohoo! Can't wait to start putting it all together. And then of course next we've got the 79 Team Mongoose to do next. And that'll be in a candy apple blue. So yeah, fantastic. So I will continue this video as we start assembling this thing back together. I've still got to powder coat the cranks black because I think that's how they came out from the factory. I need to just do a bit more research on that. But yeah, unreal. Really, really stoked with that. All right, stay tuned for the next segment.